So today's sermon, we discussed Mark, and the title of mine is To Blunder Along. Mark, the author of today's gospel, gives us a snapshot of a moment of unbelief, a moment where thinking we know what is right overshadows faith. Faith is progressing and acting even in the face of confusion, unrest, and uncertainty. Jesus returns to his hometown. The narrative has moved away from the faith of synagogue leader Jairus, who faces the unimaginable, the death of a child, and he asks Jesus in a moment of faith for the impossible. The narrative moved away from the faith of a hemorrhaging woman, unclean, but she braved the crowds anyways to touch Jesus' cloak. In a moment of faith, she expects the impossible. And now the narrative moves to Nazareth, away from stories of faith and to the family and friends of Jesus, who stumble over what they think they know, what they think they know to be right. And that isn't faith. American philosopher John Caputo writes, "Faith is faith, not when it is looking more and more like we are right, but rather faith is faith when the situation is beginning to look impossible." Today's gospel is the negative of faith. It's the negative image of a photograph. This story is the negative image of faith. The folks from Nazareth bore witness to the growing up years of Jesus. Anybody would think they know him best. They witnessed his ordinary years, probably his diaper changings, his terrible twos, maybe him being a little mischievous with his friends when they're out and roaming the streets. They witnessed his ordinary life. How difficult it can be for us to see the miracle in the ordinary. It's easy for us to let our knowledge of ordinary things cast shadow over the things of the Spirit. When is the last time we looked at the sunrise and thanked God? Or walked through a forest and felt the Spirit lift us at the sight of a sunlight filtering through the leaves? Or sipped on a cup of tea, as in Leslie's scenario, her cappuccino, and to find warmth and comfort in the aroma of the brew? When's the last time we thanked those little things? These are miracles in the ordinary. The Nazareth story gets called the unmiracle story. When Jesus began teaching in the Nazareth synagogue, the crowds were first amazed, and then they questioned. It was their interpretation that led them away. A miracle is not just an event, but it is an interpretation of said event. Where did this man get all of this? What is this wisdom that has been given to him? What deeds of power are being done by his hands? Questions that undermine the miracle of the moment. But these questions in the broader narrative of Mark's gospel actually function to help us on our way. Mark is building the narrative up to Jesus' central question: who do you say that I am? And when we reflect on this question, it could lead us more deeply towards faith in the risen Christ. Mark has cleverly scripted the response of Jesus' family and friends, as in contrast, to build up and highlight moments of faith surrounding it. So while most commentators give the unbelief at Nazareth a bad rap, I'm personally grateful of those people and their questions at that time. Because had Mark written a snapshot of me in my mid-20s, I was not fully focused on my faith. As a matter of fact, I was full of doubt. Jesus may not have found much faith in me if he was looking at me at that time, and I'm sure he was. Like the people of Nazareth, I was stumbling along. I was in the Navy, traveling the world, focused primarily on myself and my joy and my satisfaction. I was asking, is my faith just in my mind? Is it a gimmick? Is it really something that exists that I need? What is the purpose of praying? Can he really hear me? And I lived with what seemed like a divided mind, asking doubtful questions. I was raised by two faithful Catholic parents and taught that doubting was wrong. Yet as I stand here in front of you today, I have come to accept that doubt will always be a part of my journey. Faith and doubt, in my opinion, are the flip side of the same coin. And I will apologize for my numerous references to authors because in seminary I'm doing a lot of reading, so please bear with me. John O'Donohue prays this beautifully in a book of blessings. He writes, "May the companionship of doubt restore what your beliefs leave out." The conversation in our minds and hearts between faith and doubt is a part of the journey. Stumbling along is often the pilgrim's way. Claire Marcus had just retired from her position as professor in the Department of Landscaping and Architecture, and Agriculture at the University of California, Berkeley. She had recently recovered from cancer. Quite by accident, she finds herself on the Little Hebrides island of Iona off the west coast of Scotland. She writes her experience in a memoir called Iona Dreaming. There are two different snapshots that are just 6 months apart, and I will read those to you now. 1, after walking by the shore, I go into the abbey to hear the evening service. I am reassured, if I ever doubted, that this is the kind of institutional religion that is not for me, for it is empty, boring, and almost offensive, and I leave. 6 months later, after dealing with cancer, this is her response. One evening, as I walk back from the service at the Abbey, it seems as though everything is suffused with light. Honeysuckle blossoms grow over a garden walk, the tall flower heads of reeds bending in the wind. A lone gull is on a rock. Finally, I sense what I have resisted, that the eminent God permeates all matter. Once there was doubt, and now there is none. This is a snapshot of the people of Nazareth. Each one of us in the moments where we find ourselves questioning. The invitation is twofold. 1, how do we respond to our doubt? So first is to consider how we respond to ourselves in the moments when faith is hard to find. Can we believe that there is a relationship between faith and doubt? Excuse me. We can't know light without darkness. We can't have faith without questions. As followers of the risen Christ, we will go through times when our knowledge or life experiences will cast shadows over our faith. And during these times where we question the things we thought we once knew, we will likely enter a feeling or a place of disorientation. This is a necessary time for us to let go. This is a requirement in our life to move from disorientation into and through reorientation. Even though we feel deep reluctance and loss, it is the only way to open up and embrace a new gift, a new way, and that is a deeper faith. Jesus shows up in Nazareth and asks the people to see him differently, and the people stumble. Nazareth moments are not the end. They are the moments along life's way, and it takes courage to be there. We must respond to ourselves with a sense of compassion and understanding as we move into the moments of doubt. And the second question is, how do we respond to the doubts of others? In Barbara Brown Taylor's book, Leaving Church, she writes about a time when she found herself in this place of questioning and unbelief. She calls it her wilderness time, and she writes this: "If my time in the wilderness taught me anything, it is that faith in God has both a center and an edge, and that each is necessary for the soul's health. If I developed a complaint during my time in the wilderness, it was this: the church lavished so much more attention on those in the center than those on the edge. For there will be times when some of us are amazed and wide open to the possibility, and at the end, the same time, some of us will be disoriented, questioning, and filled with disbelief. May we learn to lean on each other, to let the questions highlight what our beliefs have left out. This is what it means to be a community of faith. We stumble along, holding on to each other and holding one another up." Bear with me, my apologies. And I will repeat, this is what it means to be a community of faith. We stumble along, holding on to each other and holding one another up. And just maybe we could say, blessed are those who question, blessed are those who seek clarity, and blessed are those who can still be amazed by Christ. Amen.